Hello guys and welcome back. So in this video we will be adding sprinting to our player game. First of all, let's go ahead and set a button for sprinting. So if I open up the player controls right here, let's create another action map. We're gonna name this as player actions, and inside this player actions we will create button for sprinting, jumping, firing, reload, scope, and interact as well. Okay, so let's name this as B. The action type of this will be button, and in here select its binding, and in here we're gonna select the button east of the gamepad, and also we're gonna add another binding, and this time this will be the shift key of the keyboard. Okay, so we're gonna use this button for that purpose. Actually, these two buttons, if you are using controller, then it will be button east, and if it is PC keyboard, then it will be shift key. Okay, let's save this. Now let's set up the animation for it. So we will add another motion field, and this time we're gonna select the sprint. Okay, here is the sprint animation, as you can see. So I'm gonna drag and drop that in there, change this to 0, and right here type 2. Okay, now if we play the animation, as you can see, the player is walking, now the player is running, and now the player is sprinting. Okay, once you add the animation, go ahead and open up your input manager, and on the input manager what we're gonna do now is we're gonna say public bool b input. Now let's read the b input from the input system. Okay, so it is inside the player controls, then the player actions this time. Okay, not player movement. So player actions, then the button name is B, and now if that button is performed, or you can say if that button is pressed, then B input will be equals to true. Okay, and if it is cancel, then it will be false. Actually, it is cancelled like that. Now, after this, if we click on player movement, right here, let's create a header. Name this as movement values, and at the top, make another header. Name this one as movement flags. Name this pool as is moving. Okay, and then another one will be is sprinting. Then in the movement values, what we will do is we're gonna create a float. Sprinting speed equals to 13, let's just say. And also we need to add one more, which will be by the name of walking speed. Okay, let's just make the sprinting 7 instead of 13. That's it. Then after this, get back to the input manager, and right here at the top, let's make a reference to our player movement script. Okay, name this as player movement, and right down below we're gonna say that player movement equals to cut component player movement. Okay, then after that, right here, let's create a method for handling the sprinting. So you're gonna name this as handle sprinting input, and in here we're gonna say if the B input is pressed, and also if the move amount is greater than 0.5, then it means that the player is sprinting. So player movement, whoops, okay, player movement dot is sprinting will be then equals to true. Okay, and if this is not the case, then it will simply be false. That's it. Then we need to call this method in the handle all inputs method. Now you can go ahead and test the shift button and the joystick button out. It will read the values from it. But now we will not be testing that right now. We will now be actually playing the animation whenever we press the sprint button. Okay. So for that we have to open up the animator manager, and in this method update anim values, this will require another parameter by the name of is printing. Okay, and then right after this, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add another if condition, and in that we will say if the player is sprinting, then the horizontal snapped horizontal actually, this will be equals to horizontal movement, and snapped vertical will be equals to just 2. Okay, this is the 2 which we provided in our animator motion field. Okay, that's it. Now we need to get back to the input manager script. Now as you know that this update animator values now requires a pool, so for the pool we're gonna pass this player movement dot is printing. After this, if we check the player movement, okay, right here when the player is moving, the movement speed is applied, which is 5. Okay, so what we want now, as you know that the player has walking, running and sprinting animation. So for example, if the player right now is sprinting, if you hold down the shift button, you will notice the player will sprint. Okay, but the speed and the player speed and the animation speed will not be the same. Okay, the player will be sprinting but in slow speed, so we don't want that. We want to change the speeds according to the values right here provided. Okay, sprinting speed, movement speed, walking speed. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we will say that if the player is sprinting, then let's cut that from here, paste it in here, and if the player is sprinting, then we're gonna apply sprinting speed to the move direction. Okay, else, now in here we're gonna say if input manager dot movement, actually move amount is greater than or equals to 0.5, then we want to apply the running speed, so move direction will be equals to move direction, let's multiply that by the running speed. Let me check. Where is it? Okay, walking and okay, change this from movement speed to running speed. Okay, because we don't have any movement now. It is just sprinting, running, and walking. Okay, and when the player is running, we will set the is moving to true. Okay, and then in the else if we're gonna say that if the input manager dot movement amount is greater than or equals to 0.5, then we're gonna copy and paste that right here, set this to false and set this to walking speed. That's it. Okay, let's click on input manager and right here just type I. Okay, instead of int. I don't know why I type int, it was I right here. And also on the player movement script, make the actually on the input manager, okay, right here make this move amount public, okay, because we are using this move amount right here. Okay, if we get back right here, it is showing errors on the player movement 51, 56. Okay, let's check it out. 51 right here. Okay, make this I small and right here as well. Okay, then if you get back to Unity and play the game, then if we hold down the shift key, as you can see the player is sprinting. Okay, as you can see, if we check it out on our controller, as you can see I'm moving the joystick, and if I press the B key, okay, I have the Xbox controller, and on the Xbox the east button is B. Okay, as you can see the player is sprinting. And we can also rotate the camera as well, as you can see. And the player can walk towards that area using the joystick. Okay, so everything works perfectly fine, and with this done, let's end this video right here.